We just got breaking news that I believe has the potential to stop the downtrend we are currently seeing in the cryptocurrency market and send it to new all-time highs. In this video, I want to go over what this breaking news is and how it's going to impact the market over the next couple weeks. Guys, this was big and is likely going to allow the positive catalyst we have been seeing rolling out specifically for XRP have a drastic impact on XRP's price. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to like these videos and subscribe to the channel. These two simple things really do help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange Uphold down in the description of this video. With that said, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the content. So guys, let's jump right into the video and talk about the big catalyst that is coming over the finish line now. Now, it's still early on this, and we don't have certainty quite yet, but it looks like by every indication, we are about to get some very big news. And that very big news is that it looks like the government shutdown is about to come to an end. Now, this is a really big deal because the government shutdown, for whatever reason, seems to always be a very negative catalyst on markets. Now, in my opinion, this is silly. The government gets shut down pretty frequently, and it always opens back up. Sometimes there's a little fight, and sometimes there's a big fight. But ultimately, the government always reopens up. Now, for whatever reason, the market seems to always react extremely negatively to every single one of these shutdowns. Like the answer isn't obvious that the market's going to reopen. But regardless, the market always seems to go negative when these government shutdowns take place and continues to trend negative with a lot of volatility until ultimately the government's reopened. Now, why the market reacts this way, to me, is a little surprising. You would think most people would have absolutely no change in their view of any individual company, any given equity, or any given cryptocurrency, whether or not the government's open or closed. I mean, the government hardly does anything useful anyway. It's not like them being shut down is going to make any kind of big difference, and they're going to reopen anyway, so no change is really going to be seen. But for whatever reason, the market really sticks to these government shutdown catalysts, and it creates a big problem for things like cryptocurrencies. The problem really is that regardless of what's going on with the narrative of that cryptocurrency, the market is just stuck and obsessed with the government shutdown. So over the past couple of weeks, we have seen all kinds of extremely positive news for the entire cryptocurrency market, and specifically for XRP. And a lot of people are asking the question, well, why isn't XRP reacting to this? Why is XRP still going down? And I think at the end of the day, the answer is actually pretty obvious. The market's just hyper-focused on the government shutdown. And I know that's so shocking to a lot of people because it's like, well, how could the market care so much about that and so little bit about mass institutional adoption of these networks? And I would tend to agree with a lot of you. It's shocking that the market chooses to prioritize some of these things, but that's what the market's been doing, and it looks like that's about to end. As soon as this government shutdown is actually officially terminated, I believe the market's going to start focusing a lot more on things that matter. Catalysts like ETFs around the corner, catalysts like the XRP ledger having now settlement via MasterCard for a new partnership that was inked at Ripple Swell. There's a lot of big things happening for institutional adoption and specifically for US-centric crypto networks like the XRP ledger. But it just seems like the market has been unable to overlook the current government shutdown we're in, and therefore it doesn't matter what catalyst gets thrown out there, the entire market's just moving as one. These are macro related issues. We saw the same exact thing happen with tariffs and the Federal Reserve, but the market eventually snaps out of all of these things. Earlier this year, when Trump was talking about tariffs, the entire market was having a fit. And guess what? That came to an end as soon as the market decided it didn't want to care about those things anymore, and the market went substantially higher. So I think right now we're finally coming to the end of what has been kind of a cloud hanging over the cryptocurrency market for the past couple months. And I think this is going to be a very positive catalyst to essentially allow the fundamentals of these networks to take back over and people to start actually putting together theses on why certain chains are going to do better. And that bakes into a lot more of a, well-rounded investment thesis, well-rounded capital coming to specific projects that are winning out based off fundamentals rather than the entire market essentially selling everything off because the government shut down. Now, we take a look at the XRP price chart and how it's reacting to this right now. Funny enough, this is all happening right at the support line. So the XRP price chart has fallen through quite a couple supports recently, but still holding on to these higher levels really nicely. We take a look at the XRP price chart right now, we can see that XRP is essentially at its do or die moment right here, right on this support. we really want to see XRP hold this level. And personally, I think XRP will hold this level. We can see that the last two big downturns we've had, we have found support right where we're essentially trading right now. So it looks like this is about to be the third one we go through, and I am extremely hopeful based off of all the positive things we're seeing, including the end of this government shutdown, that this support will hold. Next thing we have to take a look at is what's the resistance. Clearly, XRP tried to break through this level quite a few times and never did. So this to me looks like the newest consolidation range that we're in right now. XRP needs to break to the upside. And the big step we're waiting on right now to fully give us a lot of confirmation on this is just for this government shutdown ending to essentially pull us back to middle of the range and start putting pressure back on this resistance. As soon as we can get back to that point, in my opinion, we're back in a safety zone where no longer are we worried about falling back through this bottom support line and more focused on when is that next breakout going to happen. But until XRP's price chart can pull off of this support line and we can stop essentially putting pressure on it, well, then that's the thing we are going to need to be focusing on. Now, like I talked about in the intro of the video, the good news is this government shutdown essentially coming to an end should provide us enough leeway to take some of that pressure off the market and make it so we're no longer hanging on whether or not XRP is going to come crashing back down to lower prices. We're now in a position where that lift off the market should allow XRP to move back into the middle of this range right here. And we can start focusing on positive catalysts that could break us out of the upside. So this is essentially what I'm watching on the XRP price chart and how the government shutdown plays into all of this. Now, one of the things we need to be paying attention to, right, because I always talk about how there's no magic charts going on here, is why would XRP continue to trend to the upside? In my opinion, the answer there is fairly obvious. We're right around the corner from a new magnitude of capital coming into the cryptocurrency market, an order of magnitude we've never seen before. For the longest time, the majority of capital coming into crypto was dominated by two sources, one being retail and two being more niche specialty hedge funds and VCs. Now, this has caused the market to go up a lot and appreciate to market caps I don't think a lot of people ever thought were possible. But what's so interesting about this is all of this happened without probably 99.999% of the money in the world being able to get allocated to this asset class. That is what is changing. 99.999% of the money in the world that's been locked out of this asset class is about to be let in. And that is extremely, extremely bullish for not only these networks gaining more adoption, gaining more users, gaining more people actually functioning in these ecosystems, gaining more use cases, and gaining more actual necessity in the current financial system. But on top of that, there's just simply more capital that needs to be allocated here. I believe the highest quality projects out there doing the most to solve real world problems are going to garner the majority of the money coming in, because that's always how markets have worked. That's how the tech boom worked. That's how the oil boom worked. That's how all these different booms have worked. The companies, assets, networks doing the most, solving the most problems, appreciate the most in value. And I think you're going to see that same thing in crypto. I think there's a huge wall of money coming around the corner. And honestly, it's probably going to go to a lot of places where it shouldn't be going, but a lot of places it should be going. Eventually, the capital will end up in the places it should be going. But the fact that this wall of money is coming, that this market has never had access to, should in itself be enough to make these things appreciate to much higher levels. Now, the thing I really like about XRP is not only obviously is that going to be a catalyst for it, but the fundamentals, in my opinion, are second to none in this industry. And that's the reason I focus so heavily on XRP. What I think is more clear to me than I think a lot of other people in crypto is that ultimately the thing that is solving real world problems, the thing that institutions are using, is going to garner a lot of high quality speculation. People are going to want to own XRP because of the things they perceive the XRP ledger doing. Doesn't even necessarily matter so much if the XRP ledger is specifically doing those things or those actions are specifically causing XRP's price to go up. That side of things is almost immaterial in my opinion. If people perceive the XRP ledger as something that's systemically important and valuable, they are going to want to own XRP regardless. the end of the day, markets to a certain degree are almost like one big popularity contest. What really matters is if there's more buyers than sellers, and people are going to buy things they want to own. Whether or not that necessarily is true or comes down specifically to the transactions happening on network almost doesn't matter to a certain degree. If more people want to buy and own XRP for whatever perception they have than want to sell XRP, it's going to make the price go up a lot. So while we always focus on things like utility that I believe are going to be a huge driver over the long run, just the fact of where the XRP sits from a speculative perspective and where the market is going, I think could bring tens of trillions of dollars to XRP's market cap over the long run. One of my favorite things about XRP, let me make this clear, is the wild card of what utility can do, what actual network adoption and volume can do. But I just want to be clear, I don't necessarily even think those have to happen to see XRP appreciate to some pretty high prices. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. And for now, Mickle out.